Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. We know the internet's breaking today. We have the Skip Bayless Undisputed set this morning. I have to go through this because this is monumental. It is Michael Irvin getting back to work after basically being railroaded, at least in my opinion. We're still waiting for the court case. I'm not sure him going to work is actually the best thing for the case, because now they can say, well, you know, what happened didn't really affect him. He still is actually on television. Be that as it may, I'm glad to actually see Michael Irvin again. Just wish it wasn't with that Skip Bayless. Of course, Jerry Jones definitely tossed them a bone, because trading for Trey Lance, you've got all of the haters of the world that are taking something that if another team had done and making it into something that it isn't. But let's go to the tape because I want to see this. I have not seen it. Don't know what's going to happen. I know Rashid's been watching it and all that and literally oohing and ahhing while I was recording my morning video. But let's listen to it ourselves.
Will Trey Lance be to Dak Prescott either sooner or later?
Trey's not. I want to say this. I want to say this right. I know I haven't had a chance to talk about my Cowboys, and I sat on my couch listening to people and the rhetoric that they rolled off their radio out of their mouth. I said, God, it's the worst music I can hear. Trey Lance is no threat to Dak Prescott. The Dallas Cowboys are coming out back-to-back 12-win seasons. Back-to-back 12-win seasons. Yeah, they didn't get to where they wanted to go in the playoffs. But they got to the second round. They should have. And I believe this year they will get farther because they've gotten apart. Trey Lance puts the Cowboys in what I call the perfect quarterback situation. What is the perfect quarterback situation? Let's discuss this. You need a starter, a bona fide winner that's a starter, and you have that in Dak Prescott. You need a backup that in case anything happens to your starter, he can come in and win football games. Let us not play. We saw Cooper Rush. He presented Rush Hour 4 right here in L.A. last year. Cooper Rush did his thing. You got a great backup. You got a great starter. That third quarterback in every team, if you have the perfect quarterback situation, is the project quarterback that you're working on, that you won't let see the field for another 3 to 4 years. That's what Trey Lance is, guys. Nothing more. And I hear everybody, we know what the Cowboys treated Trey Lance. What does that mean for Dak Prescott? It means absolutely nothing. It means he has a great young pupil that he can impart some knowledge to, that when this project gets ready to play, he can do some things. And that's 4 years away from now. So stop trying to put a virus in the head of my guys in that locker room, in their computer, trying to know what Trey's here for Dak. And people can start getting in these little corners and talk about when Dak make a bad decision or interception. We should go with Trey. Stop saying that, people. Stop it. Don't let the rhetoric get to you. Trey is not a threat to Dak. But it's a great pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. I will expand on that later on.
It may not be a threat right now, no, Michael. Today, Dak Prescott's missed a lot of time, 33 games in the last 3 seasons he's played in.
Right.
Okay, so when you look at that, at 2 years and $65 million left, how much of that is guaranteed? This is why I'm saying this. When you talk about 4 years from now, he's missed time. And you know how these things are. When a guy gets hurt and somebody else comes in and he starts to play, well, I know I don't want to go Drew Bledsoe. I don't want to go Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady, but I am. I got to. And all of a sudden you look up and this guy has light has turned on because Coach McCarthy and them are doing the right things. And you almost saw it with Cooper Rush last year. Almost. But he couldn't get them where they needed to. So they had to go back to Dak Prescott. The offense was still going and muttering along. It was going, but it was a Cooper Rush game plan. Once they deviated away from that and went back to Dak Prescott, Dak had his issues. Now, Trey Lance was the number 3 pick overall for a reason. Okay, because he could play. He just couldn't play in San Francisco in the situation he was in. Kept getting hurt. So they said, okay, they moved on from him. You picked this guy up as the 4th round pick. You picked Trey Lance.
Great play. Great call.
It's
Great
a
call.
great call.
Great situation.
Now you got to keep Dak healthy, okay? You keep him healthy, the rest is history. For whatever reason, you open up that door. What is it, Wally Pip? Is that him?
Wally Pip. Yeah.
You open up that door for this dude to slide in. No, it does not. Playmaker. You know good and well if this dude does anything and Dak all of a sudden, and I'm not saying Dak throws an interception, they like all of a sudden go to the number 2 or number 3 guy. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about injury. When a guy is injured and somebody else is playing better, you know how these coaches get. And what is it that Jerry so desperately wants to do right now? Try to finish strong and win a championship.
Well, let's
see what Richard Sherman,
You're
the
saying
all-star
you can see at some point that Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback.
No. If Dak was to get injured, he's been injured in the past.
Trey gets his
And if Trey gets his shot, and if he gets that shot, and he plays the way that he was drafted.
We got a lot of ifs here.
You have seen
Lots of ifs.
nothing to indicate.
That is very, Michael, that is
Okay.
true.
You have seen nothing.
But let's not say it's not a threat because it's not true. It's not true.
Let's be clear. Everybody is a
they
threat
can't get
in
out of Dak's
football.
deal anytime soon.
Everybody.
Trey Lance is on a 1st-round contract in 2 years. They're gonna have that option to
We
bring
don't
up. They're
have
not.
to go to money.
They're not bringing up
Stay on
the
the
option.
field.
They're not accepting his option. They're not going to pick up his option if he's not the starter. So he got 2 years. You got 2 years. You're talking about a 4-year plan. You got 2. You got 2 to make a decision on Trey Lance before you got to pay him big-time money. And you're not paying him big-time money if he's not the starter. So Dak in 2 years still has $36 million in dead money. So if you want to get rid of Dak in 2 years in 2025, then you gotta cut him and eat
Richard, it's not about getting rid of him.
One second.
Go on, Richard. Let's get your point here.
You gonna hold on to him while somebody else starts? You are not.
Wait. What do you mean when somebody else is starting?
Well, let me make my point.
But Dak.
Okay, so if nobody else was starting but Dak, then what are we talking about here?
We're talking about in 2 years him getting backup money to be the backup to Dak Prescott by Cooper Rush goes and get a deal because he deserves it. That's what we're talking about happening.
Backup money.
So we're going to take 2 years to train him because Cooper Rush deal is up in 2 years. We're going to take 2 years to train him to be the backup to Dak. And then those next 2 years, he's going to try to train and become a starter. You don't need to go to Drew Brees or anyone else. Dak Prescott.
I want to comment here for a moment on the new look, Undisputed. Right now, at this moment, I love it. I love it because Skip Bayless ain't said shit. You actually have Keyshawn, you have Richard Sherman, and you have Michael Irvin, guys that have been in there playing football that know what the hell they're talking about, actually having a discussion, and you see Skip Bayless is left on the wayside. I could get into this. You know what? Can we just tape Skip Bayless's mouth shut? Can we just okay, let's finish this. Let's finish him.
I can go to his own situation. He came in and took that job from Tony Romo when Tony Romo got hurt. But now, wait. But Dak Prescott came right in and showed he can win right away. Trey Lance hadn't shown you anything that he can win in this league anywhere. So let us stop with this being a threat to Dak. It's a good asset for Dallas, but not a threat to Dak. I'm sorry, I hadn't been on TV in a while. I don't mean to take over.
Let's stop acting like Dak.
That ain't right.
Let's stop acting like Dak. Dak led the league in picks and only played 12 games. Let's stop because y'all done lost your damn minds. Slow it down. What I'm saying is Trey Lance is not. Y'all expecting this man to come in here and say, "I'm just gonna be okay being a backup." He was a number 3 pick. Number 3 pick, and y'all think he's just gonna say in 2 years, "Yeah, I'm cool being a backup. Let me keep being a backup." And there's nobody in the NFL built like that.
It ain't what he says out his mouth. It's what his talent says on the field.
His talent got picked number 3. He only played 6 games.
Michael Irvin is in game form now.
That's what he has to do. I understand that.
He's playing 6 games.
Now, wait. I don't want to make this sound like I'm coming at Trey. I love what we got in Trey. I love what Trey gonna bring. And I think Trey's gonna do great in Dallas because that stuff in San Francisco a whole different league. That offense is a whole different offense. It's a hard offense. I couldn't learn that offense. I hated that offense. And I had to play it. every year during in the Pro Bowl, because after we tapped that butt of San Fran, they were the coaches in this Pro Bowl. So I had to always run their offense. I hated their offense.
Can we just call this the Michael Irvin Show? Can we just call this the Michael Irvin Show?
Don't see that play where they showed Tua and he named that play. Did y'all hear all that rhetoric come out of his mouth? Now, I was in the huddle. I heard, what do I run? I didn't even know what to run. It's so hard. So when I say to Trey, yes, that was a difficult offense. And I understand you couldn't get that offense. I'm just saying, I'm not saying he can't pick it up. I'm not calling myself dumb that I couldn't pick it up. I couldn't pick it up. Troy would call a play and look at me and say 3-route, Mike. I said, okay. And then he'll call a play, look at me and say 5-route, Mike. Okay, 7-route, Mike. I won the MVP like that. But I ain't no nail play in that huddle. So, Trey, I know how tough that is. This offense is going to be perfect.
Yeah, but
this is a more simplified offense. It's going to be perfect. I give him 2 years in this offense, he'll be ready to make some noise.
But look, man, we talking about a threat to him. I
He's
understand,
not a threat.
but I understand we don't want it to be a threat. All I'm saying to you, Michael, and you, Sherm, is that
Can't
when
get worded.
you take a guy on the flyer as a 4th-round pick, give up a 4th-round pick for him. You give him opportunity to learn, just like you said.
Right.
He's going to learn the system. But if something were to happen to Dak at some point in time along the way, and that young man, even though you say he hadn't done anything, he really hadn't, because he hadn't had the opportunity. His butt's been hurt. But if he stays healthy, and all of a sudden that light turns on, you can't tell me that Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy, and I'm not talking about this year, maybe it's next year, maybe it's the year after, when he maybe does one of those Jordan Love type deals, they don't pick up the option, now all of a sudden he gets high paid backup money, and you insert him into the lineup if something was to happen to Dak. So let's not just say it's not a threat. It's certainly a threat.
It's definitely a threat. It's definitely insurance. It's definitely insurance.
Yes.
And in order
Which is
for
what everybody wants. Insurance in case your guy goes down.
Timeout. It is my turn.
Oh, it's my turn.
I need him to be a threat to my quarterback, because where you and I go like this is I am not sold on Dak Prescott. I have seen a whole lot of Dak Prescott, and I have seen enough.
Here we go.
I don't need a backup because we have the best backup in the National Football League, and it ain't even close. I need a starter at some point down the line, but I'm not sure how to get from point A to point B.
I just told him.
Okay, here's the point. Before Trey Lance was drafted, I sat right here at this desk and I said, I would plunge for that kid. I said, he'll be at least as good as Trevor Lawrence. I said, he'll be better than Zach Wilson, who went obviously 2nd overall. I said, he'll be better than Justin Fields, who went 11th overall. He'll be way better than Mac Jones, who went 15th to Belichick. And what happened? You know Kyle Shanahan.
And how are all those guys doing?
I'm going to say that 2 of the greatest offensive minds in the history of this game are Kyle and his father, Mike Shanahan. Can we agree on that? Those 2 put their heads together, and they looked deep into this kid, albeit at North Dakota State, and they said, you know what? He is so good. We are going to bet the ranch on him. We're going to bet the future.
And they gave up on him.
1st-round choices. We're going a 3rd-round choice on top of it to vault from 12 to 3 to bet the entire future on Trey Lance. Even though he had played all of 1 season, albeit at North Dakota State, 1 season of starts. Guess what he did in the 1 season? He threw 28 touchdown passes to 0 interceptions, and he ran for 1,100 yards. Again, Carson Wentz came out of there, so it's not Division I. It's a step below it. But still, you had 1 year of tape, and that's all because they played 1 game in the pandemic year. And they said, we bet on Trey. Well, if they bet on Trey, I felt pretty validated at that point. And what happened is rookie preseason. He busts the index finger on his throwing hand. What do you think's going to happen when you bust that? You're going to have a hard time in a really hard offense to run.
Right.
So, Dak Prescott breaking his thumb. Dak Prescott breaking his thumb and coming back and playing. And the Cowboys with Dak Prescott score more points than anybody else. He doesn't get any quarter, though, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, he struggles through his rookie year. And then what happened last year early on? He breaks his ankle and dislocates it. Well, it's all terrible injuries like Tony Pollard had. But the point is, it's so bad that he's been.
How about it's like this one Dak Prescott had? How about that one?
Right.
He's thrown in his life, in college and pro, he's thrown 400 total passes. Dak threw more passes last year than this kid has thrown in his whole life. So do I still have high hopes for him? Do I think he could ultimately be a little better, just a little better than Dak Prescott? We're talking 6'4", 225. He ran 4.55. He's a little faster. He's a little taller. He's got a little better arm, just a little better arm. And listen, I've done a lot of work on this kid. The intangibles are off the charts. He's a gym rat. He's a great kid. He's a tough kid. In North Dakota State, you're just running over people, which you can't do in your league.
Skip, you're playing yourself here in this situation. In this
You're
way,
playing yourself
here. Now, you gave Cal, and I do agree with you, so much props and credit.
Here you
and
go.
the offensive mind and the talent evaluator, all that he is. Okay, if you're giving him all that credit for seeing what he saw in Trey Lance, then you got to also play the other side. That same great mind has seen Trey Lance practice for the last couple years. Even though he loved his physical skill set, how talented he is shoulders down, there was a talent they couldn't measure shoulders up that they said, okay, here's an issue with him discerning his offense. That they see him every day, and they said, oh, we're going to keep.
But hold on, Mike. Let me stop.
No, let me finish.
No.
We're going to keep Brock Purdy, and we're going to keep Sam Darnold over him. They see him in practice every day. So obviously, the same great mind that assessed him must have said, oh, so maybe he can't get.
So let me back you up real quick, though, Playmaker. Let me back you up real quick. You say they saw him in practice every single day, so they saw what he did.
They saw him.
They saw him in practice last year. They saw him in practice the year before that. Guess what they decided to do? They decided to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo because they saw him in practice.
Come on now.
They decided to move on from Jimmy G because they saw him in practice. A guy that took him to the Super Bowl. And they said, you know what? We're going to move on from Jimmy G because we believe that Trey Lance is the guy.
Jimmy G, and that a mistake after mistake.
And they decided to still name Trey Lance the starter. They still made him the starter.
Before Brock Purdy got game.
Hold on.
Before Brock got game.
I understand that.
Right.
But Trey never really got game time. He kept getting hurt at the beginning of things.
Your best ability is your availability.
When Dak stepped in, he played right away.
I understand that.
When Trey stepped in, Trey did not play right away. He didn't play well
Look at Skip.
right away. The times he did play,
He played well.
He played well against his rookie year.
Skip Bayless has lost the show. Okay, Skip Bayless is done. He is like, look, he's like the little kid at the grown folks table. That's what he is. Skip Bayless, the little kid at the grown folks table.
Because in those games where Jimmy G is limited, hey, it's just his arm. It's rain. It's it's going to limit him. You got legs of Trey Lance. So they should overcome this circumstance. That's why Cal drafted him. But what did he do in that game? He threw an interception, and then he fumbled in a critical time in that game.
In a downpour.
In a downpour. But everybody's playing in a downpour. Justin Fields was playing in the same downpour. Justin Fields was playing
in a downpour. It ain't like it's just raining on Trey. It's raining on everybody.
They scored 10 points in that game, and Chicago didn't hold anybody else to that number. They didn't hold nobody else to that number. No, you missed my point. Because what I'm saying is Trey Lance hasn't played enough football, but the football he did play wasn't good enough.
I am not saying Trey can't play football. The question is Trey a threat in any way to Dak Prescott? I'm saying absolutely not to that. Not right now.
Not right now.
Not at this place. I don't even see it becoming a situation in the future. It's going to take him time to grasp this offense.
That's the future.
New offense now. Yeah. I said it earlier to you. As I said to you, the next 2 years, he's not coming off that.
He can't get words in.
Sacks and Cooper Rush. And then we'll move Cooper Rush in 2 years when his contract is up. And move
can we just move Skip Bayless out and just keep these three? Just keep these three.
Goes down, he'll get an opportunity to get on film, and he has to shine. Then he can't do it.
I don't think the learning curve of the offense is going to be that severe.
I'm with you on that. That's what I talked about earlier.
It has principles of the West Coast system. Remember, Mike McCarthy had principles.
Right.
It's not going to be he's learning an entire new playbook.
Exactly. But it's not. Football is football.
So we've been watching this thing for almost 20 minutes. Skip Bayless got about 2 minutes of conversation.
The problem comes in when you don't assess it right away. I've always said to people, one thing, what I've learned in those Pro Bowls with that offense of San Fran, when they call a play, I said to myself, man, when I leave that huddle and I'm thinking about what route do I run, what route, I lose every time. I lose every time. So it's so important to know right now, when they call the play, bam, I got to know what route I run. So I'm leaving the huddle, going to the line of scrimmage, thinking, how do I win on this route? If I'm thinking, what route do I run, I lose. I must be thinking, how do I win on this route? That's why it's imperative to understand the offense right away, so all my ability goes to deciphering the defense.
If he can't drive that Ferrari that is San Francisco's offense, then I'm going to let you know something. I hear y'all talking about the playbook and how complicated it is. Listen to me.
No.
That offense is tailor-made to succeed. Brock Purdy is not the most physically gifted, but he is in the driver's seat of a Ferrari. What I'm saying is it's still too early for me to decide with Brock Purdy.
You're saying that offense operates more shoulders up than shoulders down.
No.
I've watched Sean. I watched Steve Young.
This is incredible.
Real close. I watched Joe Montana. Right now, those are two different types. Kind of fit in that Brock Purdy and Trey Lance ideology right there. And Joe Montana, you say what you will, I would say was a better quarterback. Yeah, I love Steve Young, had a great career, but I'm taking Joe Montana. And Brock Purdy looks like the Joe Montana to Trey Lance, not even Steve Young yet, but he will become something.
Quick point of order. I watched Brock Purdy a whole lot at Iowa State. I saw him 3 times against my Oklahoma Sooners. He looked nothing like he has looked in San Francisco.
Right.
Trust me. I bet I saw a dozen games of Brock Purdy, not one of which looked like any of the games I watched last year in San Francisco. Is that a tribute to Kyle? Is that a tribute to the run game, to the offense? Will he come back to earth? Will he get exposed at some point? To your point, he just might.
You might.
Okay, so here's...
They got the book on him now.
Okay, so here's
I'm good now. I'm good. I don't need to skip Bayless part.
Saturday night. We have no role for Trey Lance this year with the Cowboys. No role, because he's not better than Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is 5-1, and those 5 were really big-time games. I thought Cooper Rush operated more efficiently and effectively than Dak has over a 5-game period.
There you go.
So I'm good there. And obviously, Trey Lance is not better than...
Go too far sometimes. That's too far.
Okay,
Yeah, you went far right there.
I did not. I told you the God's truth. That's what happened last year. Go look.
That playbook was tailor-made for Brock Purdy. For Cooper Rush. That playbook was for
wait a second. Think about Cooper Rush. He gets thrown into the fire when they're on a roll at Minnesota. This is 2 years ago. And it was Sunday night, and he throws for 325. Don't tell me it's tailor-made for him.
It was tailor-made.
He hits Amari Cooper.
He showed up.
He hits him with 51 seconds left. Amari for 5 yards for the game winner, 20-16. Then he starts off last year against the defending AFC champ Bengals. It's a Sunday night game, big stage. And he throws for 235, and on the last series, in the last minute, he hits CD for 8, then he hits Noah Brown for 12, and he hits CD for 10, sets up a walk-off field goal. It was an incredible drive. Then he turns right around and goes to the Giants as they're going to open on Sunday night against the Giants.
Oh, God.
At the Giants against the arch-rival, they are on an early roll. And what does he do? They fall behind because Saquon busts loose late third quarter. They're down 13-6, and he goes on a run in the next 2 possessions. He goes, this is Cooper Rush, 12-13 for 123 yards. Touchdown, game over. He was good against Washington. He didn't have to be good against the Rams because they ran for 163. And then he got off to a rocky start at Philadelphia, and then here he came. Gallup drops a touchdown pass at the end of the half, and they have to take a field goal. Then he comes out in the second half, touchdown. And all of a sudden I look up, and it's 20-17. Philly 20, and Jalen takes over the next series with 3 straight third-down conversions with his legs. I'm telling you, Cooper Rush can flat play, and Romo predicted on CBS that he would get a deal, and for the league agrees with you. They're just seeing just some guy. And he did not get a deal, which was music to my ears because we got him back.
If you listen, I understand the Cowboy love, all right? I get it. I get it with you and Skip. I played for him. I like him too. But here's what I'm going to say when you break down the Cooper Rush situation, man. The playbook was tailor-made for him.
Hey, but it's tailor-made for everybody.
No, it's not. No, that is the coach's job. But what they did when Dak Prescott came back is they opened it back up. Rather than take that same playbook and give it to Dak Prescott. Because Dak's skill set is better You know this, Michael. They felt like,
We're gonna
okay,
ask
we
him
can
to do more.
ask him to do more.
Right.
That's exactly what happened.
How much did Dak do at San Francisco in the playoff game?
Come on now,
It was
that's it.
wide open. Open that book up.
But
Don't
that's
look at
what
the
they-
numbers.
That ain't
We scored 12
that's what they
points.
decided to do.
But that doesn't make sense.
That
doesn't make sense. You're
We
saying,
fixed that by going to get brand new.
All they gotta do, all they gotta do,
You're
Sharon.
right.
We needed one last year.
All they gotta do, Sharon, with Dak Prescott is stick to the same game plan they have with Cooper Rush. They decided to open it back up, and that's when they got into trouble.
They didn't decide, hey, we gonna limit it with Cooper Rush.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Man, they ran the ball. They ran the ball extremely well, and the defense at that 7-game, 6-game stretch was playing lights out.
They still were running the ball. Dak was not efficient. Dak was not good with the football. I can hear what you're saying.
No, he
He
wasn't.
was not good with the football.
30 points a game?
They asked him to do more.
They asked him to throw it to his team and not the other team.
Thank you.
That's not a crazy thing.
Stop.
I'm not about to let y'all go.
I'm gonna let Michael go, and then I'm gonna end this.
It's a lot going on in everything, but why wasn't that going on when Cooper Rush was playing? Why wasn't that happening when Cooper Rush was playing?
Because they wasn't allowing Cooper Rush to do the same things as that.
They're not telling Cooper Rush to not throw interceptions, just like they're telling Dak to not throw interceptions. They're not telling him, hey, throw it to your guys and not the other team.
You're correct, throw it to the right color. But when you are telling Cooper Rush, hey, we're going to run screens, we're going to run shallow crosses, we're going to dink
That's
it.
not all he was
pushing the
running.
ball down the
That
field.
man was pushing the ball down the field. They were
Man,
making
they
big
were
plays.
not.
He threw for 325 in his
You got to point at something. Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush did a great job.
Great job.
Running the offense.
Running the
And
offense.
staying in the main guys. But let me go
And
back
the
to something.
defense stepped
Remember
up
now,
big time.
last year, early on with Dak, we have CeeDee Lamb trying to morph into this number one receiver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Early on, CeeDee had some drops. And some balls
Dropped one
went
of
through his
Cooper
hands.
Rush's at
And
New
some
York.
balls went through his hands, and they turned up interceptions. Some balls went through a lot of those receivers' hands that turned up interceptions. And everybody put it on Dak, but the ball was dropping on people's hands. And early on, as CD was converting, and you guys know this, I talked to CD about it. I said, CD, hey, man, you're the number one receiver now. Everybody's going to be around you all the time. There is no you gonna be.
You gotta run the right route.
So and what he was trying to do with everybody around him, he was still trying to catch balls in his hands. And there's a natural defense mechanism within the body to protect you when people are around you. If I squeeze my hand, you're gonna blink your eye naturally. So now he's trying to catch it. I said, wait, let me finish. I told him, I said, listen, man, with all these people around you, learn to catch this ball in your body. So in your hands, you tighten up, ball goes through you. Or you tighten up, ball hits the
That's the
ground.
worst advice I've ever heard for a
now,
receiver. Don't catch it with your hands, catch it with your body.
How you gonna tell me that's the worst advice? I'm only one of the best to ever do it. I'm playing that
What I'm saying is,
I don't know how you
can't say catch it with your body and not your hands.
And land championships on every level. What I'm talking about doing, I want championships on every level doing. I don't know how you gonna say that's bad advice. How is that bad advice?
Because if you're telling kids to catch with their body and not their hands,
Sure, you gotta listen to what he's saying.
One second.
No.
I understand what he's saying.
Thank you.
But what I'm saying, I play quarter. You catching it in your body, you bringing it that close, and I'm on your back. I'm getting that out of there every single time. I'm getting that out of there. You're not breathing in your body. Catch it with your hands out here. But what I'm saying is, y'all making excuses. Say a professional. 12 games. He played 12 games.
No, we're letting you. We're trying.
You're making excuses. Y'all just said it was CeeDee Lamb. Y'all just said it was CeeDee Lamb 40 through 15 interceptions.
Oh my God.
I said he dropped some balls early
Let
on.
me break it down to the much.
You said
This is crazy.
Mike, let me break it down to much simpler fashion, real quick. What Playmaker is saying, though, is that when you have people around you,
your
not
body
one
naturally
DB,
tense up.
you naturally tense up.
That's
So
a natural
therefore,
thing.
protect yourself
Thank you, Keith.
to be able to catch the football.
Come on.
On top of that, when you
Go to
talk
church.
about
DB,
12
y'all don't even
games,
catch.
when you talk about when you talk about interceptions of Dak Prescott in 12 games, yes, he threw a lot. There's no question about it. But I, in particular, can go to games and I can look. I go to the Green Bay Packer game. They're running double posts. They're stacked on top of each other. The tight end and CeeDee Lamb. They're right on top of each other. So a quarterback hits his back foot in rhythm. He wants to let it rip. He lets it rip, and all of a sudden, when it's gone, he can't bring it back. They're on top of each other. So the first thing that we do is we say, oh, why did he throw the interception? It's really the receiver.
It was a read.
Okay, but
That's
don't
all.
throw it.
Right.
Just,
That's all.
it-
But he's already
don't throw it.
pulling it. It's
Okay.
the read. It's
Okay.
the timing.
Last thing on Trey Lance. This is just me
Here we
speaking
go.
as a Cowboys
Last.
fan. Let's just say hypothetically, Dak has another long, hard year. Let's say he leads the league in picks again. Let's just do the hypothetical. Trey Lance has little to no experience.
Mhm.
If he's healthy, he's only 23 years of age, and he's running
Mhm.
scout team through the year. Is there a point where next preseason you just throw him into the fire early? You're going to have to play him and risk him getting beat up and hurt, and just see what he can give you in quote unquote
course.
real games
Okay,
against
thank you,
second and third
Captain
teamers. But just see what it
They're
feels like.
going to do that anyway.
Okay.
Right. They're going to do that
And
anyway.
at some
Yeah,
point,
we get some ball.
would you ever plunge and just say, this kid is so talented, we have to close our eyes and just see if he can do it?
Not yet. So what you're saying on a hypothetical, though, Skip,
Mhm.
is next season, off season, they see him, the whole off season
Yeah.
comes, they get a chance to really,
Yeah.
if they still there as a staff, depending on what happens, get a strong look at him.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to do that. Again, Dak Prescott has 2 years and $60+ million left.
Mhm.
Not all guaranteed money. So now they're talking about an extension. So if something goes wrong this year, you certainly start to look at it and go, okay, is this another, do we want to invest another $150, $200 million in a guy that we're not sure on?
Okay.
Right. One last thing.
last
First of all, when you catching the football, you don't have to worry about people taking your head off. That's why you be catching your hands. I just want to give you that quick right there. Second of all, then for you, Trey Lance backing up that Prescott in next year. And I'm with you. You give him every rep in the preseason next year.
Every rep
in the preseason. You already know Cooper Rush. You get him out here. The best part about it is they have similar skill sets.
Yes.
Similar skill set. So you talked about that offense transforming from Cooper Rush when they went back to Dak and all that. Now, with this, that's what's good. You can give them every rep in the preseason next year and still go right back to Dak because the talent is similar, and you can have the same preseason in the rest of the guys. And that's why I work. You
There you
don't have
go.
to catch the ball.
There
You're
you
not
go.
trying to take your head off. So don't be trying to tell me my receivers catch it in their hands. You won't get them knocked out for nothing. At least when you catch it in your body with your first down. I got knocked out, but I still had the first down. You gonna get somebody knocked
I
out.
thought if you let the ball get to your pads, it ricochets off.
All right, I got to get out of here because I got a meeting I got to go to. But man, I love the new Undisputed because Skip Bayless ain't saying a whole lot. It's the grown folks talking. I'm Mark Holmes, and I appreciate you.